Sup?
I'm really excited. I'm so excited.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because I legit love the shit out of this movie, dude. I have since it was new.
Yeah?
Yeah. And yeah.
I remember liking this back in the 90s.
Oh my God. When this came out, I was obsessed. I rented it all the time from On Video, which was our local, like, little
I didn't have to rent this movie
thing.
because everybody I knew had a copy of it. So I
Oh.
just would borrow it from them if I needed to, or just watch it at their house.
I needed this shit on hand at all times. Eventually, my mom did buy me a copy on VHS. She did not watch it with me.
Do you remember it being better?
No, it is just as fucking funny. It is imprinted in my head.
You have seen this far more times than I have.
Dude, I've even referenced it on the podcast a couple of times. I hadn't seen it in a very long time until, you know.
I don't. Have we watched
until we watched
this?
Since I don't think we've watched it together.
I don't know that we have.
I don't think we have, and I know I haven't shown the kiddo.
With the exception of this past watching, like
right.
It's been over 20 years since I've seen this movie.
That means it has been for me as well. And yet you saw how difficult it was for me and how often I failed at not quoting the goddamn thing as it was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
I've noticed that with you.
It's so hard.
There's like 5 movies in the world that you know every word
The Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
Wayne's World.
Yes.
BASEketball.
Yeah.
I don't know what else.
Wayne's World. Did you say that?
I said Wayne's World. God damn it. You really don't listen to me. I don't know.
But yes, there are those handful of movies that I just watching with you is kind
I'm
of
so
like,
sorry. No, and I was apologizing throughout, but the tism is strong, man.
They're
and
all
like
movies
I can't
that I've seen, so
fucking help.
You're not ruining it because I've seen them.
It is this weird compulsion.
Yeah.
Like, and it's only if I really, really love something and watched it a shit ton when I was younger.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm the same way. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back is one of those that I could just quote front to back.
I could take or leave that. If
and
we're talking
like
Kevin Smith movies, I like Dogma. That one's my favorite. Chasing Amy was pretty all right.
But
we're not here to fuck them. Fuck Kevin Smith. I mean, no, not really. But we're here to talk about other people today.
Right.
Yeah.
So we probably need a theme song and an introduction.
Yes. Let's do that.
Show about pop culture stuff. We keep watching and connected, but it's never enough. Talking with our friends about our favorite things, TV shows and movies and some random swearing. Hey! 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 This is the pretty, this is the little, this is the pretty little podcast.
Hello, all you pretty little people. This is the Pretty Little Podcast. I'm your host, Deadbeat Chad, and with me is just Jess.
Yeah, my eyes are burning.
Yeah?
I think in excitement.
There's a simple truth to you.
Yeah, thanks. What the fuck are you calling me, Howard Moon?
Yeah. Yes.
What did I do to you?
Compare you to Howard Moon. And I think
what does that say about you?
I think you like that.
Does that make you old Greg? Because that's the only person that shows any interest in
I don't
Howard.
know. Like,
no, that's not true. The hello.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
That can be you.
It's like one of those things where it's like, find out which Boosh character you are. Take this quiz.
And do you think I would be Howard Moon?
I don't know. Because I don't know who I would be. But we're not here to talk about that.
No.
We're here to talk about a movie.
And we are.
And you know me.
I do?
I love a good portmanteau.
Oh, yes. Yes, you do. No, you legit. No, yes.
I do it all the time.
That is absolutely true.
Correct. And I don't even have to think about it. My brain does it. Portmanteaus are always on my mind.
I've noticed.
And this movie is BASEketball.
Yay! Oh, dude, I'm so excited. I love this fucking movie.
When I first heard about this movie,
yes,
I was not really aware of who Trey Parker and Matt Stone were.
I was.
I knew what South Park was.
Yeah.
This movie came out after
it was 1998, so real early, yeah.
Right. Season 1 of South Park had just ended when this movie came out. And I think the idea was they didn't know that they were getting picked up for a second season at this point.
Probably
when the movie
not.
was released.
Yeah. I mean, this wasn't their first movie they'd done.
It was the first movie I saw with them in it.
Right. Yes.
Because I
yes.
saw Orgasmo after that.
Well, did I see Orgasmo? I might have seen Orgasmo beforehand because that is one that I remember the cover on video so vividly. Trey Parker in the purple suit
right.
and shit like that, and me going, "What the hell is this?"
And Cannibal the Musical I didn't see until like after the South Park movie had already come out. And I didn't see the South Park movie until after BASEketball, obviously, because it was released the following year, which is kind of weird that South Park got a movie after 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Like at this point, the Simpsons were in what, season 8 or 9?
I don't know. I've only half been paying attention to you because I was singing Shpodoink all day in my head from Cannibal the Musical.
Yeah, like the Simpsons didn't even get a movie until like 2007.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man. So like original South Park, I liked it. You know, like the first season and everything. I have a picture of me in 8th grade
really
with that
care for it
initial
first.
shirt, you know, of the 4 of them, like just standing that
Right.
iconic
I had a
thing.
bunch of school friends that loved South Park. They had the posters, the
I liked
t-shirts,
it.
and the dolls and shit. But I
I
didn't watch
liked
enough
it.
of it, I think.
But I loved this. And then when the South Park movie came out,
Right.
I loved the shit out of that.
The South Park movie is
Now,
what got
we
me
have watched
to
that
watch South Park.
many times.
Because honestly, I thought the series, South Park series, was kind of tame.
Well, it was on
But then
Comedy
the movie
Central.
came out, and I was like, "This is what South
Like,
Park is."
even though it was cable, it was
Right.
still like basic cable. It wasn't like HBO or something like that. So,
Exactly.
yeah, no, I remember seeing the
But
movie
now
and
it's
losing
just
my goddamn mind.
insane.
Yeah.
And I do need to go back because I haven't seen.
I
like,
have
the
not
last
watched, to be
4 seasons or so.
fully transparent. I haven't seen South Park in a very long time. I've watched Nux Taku, Nuxanor on YouTube react to like different things from South Park, but I haven't actually watched it myself in quite some time.
Yeah.
But at any rate, BASEketball, the movie we're talking about today, is a 1998 American sports comedy film co-written and directed by David Zucker, starring South Park creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone, and co-starring Yasmin Bleeth, Jenny McCarthy, Robert Vaughn, Ernest Borgnine, and Deanne Bacher?
Deanne Bacher?
It's a little bit.
Now, his character in this movie, he
Kenny.
plays a character named Squeak.
Yeah.
Now, when you watch this movie, did you get the impression that he was a little bitch?
Yes, actually.
I did too,
Funny you could
but
bring
this
that up.
movie did a terrible job at conveying that every 3 minutes.
I know. Yeah. Well, I see, what I like is his character arc, okay, throughout the movie. At first, like, come on, that whole fucking scene at the beginning. Okay, remember, this is season 2 of PLP. We're just going to kind of riff and talk about what we love the most, which is probably going to be me talking at very high speed about all kinds of things because I don't know. I just ate dinner and I had fish and rice. And
absolutely taking over this episode because
this is one of my 7, right? Of this season 2.
I am very middle of the road when it comes to this movie.
I really, and okay, to be fair, I am probably biased because I loved it so much.
You absolutely are.
But it's fucking hilarious. I don't care what anybody says.
It is funny. It is still funny today.
Come on.
It is offensive in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And very like
well, when we were watching
insensitive
it,
to certain groups of people.
I said this is like stereotype the movie, right?
Yes.
But what I will say is, I mean, it's Trey Parker and Matt Stone. They are well known from everything from South Park to what, the Book of Mormon, to everything they do. They take this honestly very balanced road at satirizing and mocking everything and everybody. Like, no one is sacred, no matter what. So I really feel like that takes away from some of it. Because I mean,
well, it also the thing is, movies like this, like, take all the offensiveness out of it, just the offensive comedy element to this film, which is all over.
Come on, it's fucking funny, dude.
These movies don't get made today, and what I'm talking about is these slacker stoner comedies that were just coming out in the late 90s, early 2000s. Were just riddled with these things.
Yeah, I mean, and this absolutely, in a way, led to Jackass, led to other things for me, like my own personal like enjoyment of things,
right?
Because I had seen the first season of South Park and liked it. I loved the shit out of this. And Jackass came out like the next year or something
It caught
like
on
that.
shortly after.
Because I know I think you had some of like the CKY tapes or something.
I did.
But I found out about Jackass and all of that when it was on MTV.
CKY far more than Jackass, but I did love them both.
Well, anyways, we might talk about that a little more in the future.
It's true.
It's one of my seven things. We might, but it's on my list.
Might have a whole plan for that.
It's
for an episode this season
because
maybe
because I like Jackass too, and it's on my list of things. So,
but yeah, watching this movie again, it definitely is one of those things where it's just like.
Look,
it really triggered something in my brain of like, wow, it's been a really long time since I've seen one of these cornball stoner comedies.
Oh, it's so dumb. But it's so smart in the way and kind of prophetic in some ways, especially like the thing at the beginning with all the stadiums taking on, like the Preparation H Stadium. Okay, real quick, just for people, go watch this fucking movie. Seriously, it's fucking hilarious. But the whole point is like they go into the state of sports. Yeah. And how, everything became this huge song and dance, like literally, and less about the sports and more about the money. And
you used to be able to look up to these players as heroes. And then over time, they just kind of degraded into this boisterous fucking...
everything sells. It's not about the competition of sport anymore.
Right. It's just the celebration of victory and rubbing it in the face of your enemies.
Yes. And so you end up with like the Preparation H Stadium and shit like that.
It became very
much have. Okay, like all of that shit is absolutely true. Oh, yeah. It wasn't then, but it is now.
Look at a fucking NASCAR outfit or a car.
Well, okay, like I was looking to buy tickets for an upcoming concert for next year, and I didn't get them because dynamic pricing and I'm not paid. So fuck you, whatever. Anyways, the point is, I thought they were playing at AT&T Stadium, and then it said Globe Life, and I was like, what the fuck is that? Isn't that where the Cowboys play? And all of that is the same thing. It used to be Texas Stadium, and then it was AT&T Stadium, and now it's Globe Life Stadium. So it's that kind of like, where is anything? I don't fucking know, man. Try going to a
concert these days. I mean, we're talking hundreds of dollars.
Well, I mean, but the dynamic pricing on Ticketmaster is a whole different situation. And there is literally no one, not even my favorite band, that I will pay thousands of dollars to go see. It's not happening. Yeah. But no, and not every joke in this hits. Like some of them.
No. And the thing
who cares?
It's throwing everything out there, right? It's like every joke in this movie feels like it was designed to be like a stinger in the trailer. Like any of these jokes could have just been put in the trailer. Sure. That's one of the things about this movie that really kind of, it got tired and I didn't really enjoy after this rewatch. Is the psych outs.
Well, I think for me, and again,
I don't think they're well done.
I was looking forward to specific psych outs that I remembered and I liked.
Yeah.
Of course they're not, but they also don't all work in the movie.
You're also talking about there's like 50 psych outs in this movie.
Oh, at least like more than.
So it's you're trying to make 50 like 2-second long jokes.
Yes, but keep in mind also some of them were intended to be bad, right? They didn't psych the person out; they still got the point. Right. It's a failed psych out.
But I don't think any of these things would have psyched me out.
No, but that's part of it too. It would have been very easy to
ignore, actually.
And one of the things I fucking love is the goddamn reactions when you get psyched out.
Their reactions
fall
are
forward,
ridiculous.
And then like
convulsing
and fall forward. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, and most of them have to do with the fact that Squeak is banging their girlfriend.
I heard your sister's going out with Squeak. But anyways, I was talking about his character arc. He starts out being made fun of terribly, and then by the grand finale at the very end of the movie, he uses that as a psych out. He himself has just owned up to the fact that he has taken Tyrion Lannister's advice, and he's like, whatever they call you, wear it. Right. Wear it like armor so it can no longer hurt you.
Yes, absolutely.
And he is still a little bitch, though.
We should probably give them some semblance of a setup to this movie.
Nah.
Other than the fact that, yes, it's that sports have become so corporatized that, like, they're just not enjoyable to an audience anymore.
Right. And so people stopped watching, not entirely, but for the most part.
Right. So they had to do something different. And one of the things that they tried to do was combine sports
Right.
at this point. So they're combining baseball and football together.
Yes.
And into this like full on, like it's
Which
baseball,
I mean
but
is
with
kind of like
football
what the
rules.
XFL tried to do.
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean,
which was a little ahead of its time because the XFL was not until
that's what I'm saying.
after
Dude,
2000.
well, and I do think that's what makes the two of them so fucking successful even now. Like, I was in middle school when South Park started.
Yeah.
I'm almost 41. They're still fucking relevant because they are really good at, again, not only just mocking everybody under the sun, but at seeing, like, on the horizon what the fuck, potentialities of a dumbass future and calling it out. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that, the thing about Trey Parker, Matt Stone, and especially when it comes to South Park, it's at this point where like South Park is just kind of too big to fail.
You say that.
I mean,
I feel like the people said that about The Simpsons at some point too.
They have been renewed now until 2027.
Good.
Which I guess they're being like streamed between two different streaming services. I think HBO and Paramount.
I don't know.
Like the newer seasons.
I know
on
they
Paramount.
have. I know they have some on HBO, but like I said, I haven't sought out South Park in a long time.
Yeah, I've
no
seen,
reason why.
I've seen everything they have on HBO up to this point, so I think that like it's like the last 4 seasons or something that are on Paramount.
But I mean, when it comes to Trey Parker and Matt Stone, like, I tend to like their movies and musicals more than the show. And that's not to say the show's bad. It's a completely different style of thing.
Yeah.
But Trey Parker is a fucking genius composer. Like, genuinely.
Yeah.
He is insanely talented.
Book of Mormon.
Yes. Well, the South Park movie
That album
is a
is
goddamn
fantastic.
musical.
Yeah.
And when
The
I
South
saw
Park
that in
album
theater,
is
I
great.
lost my dude. Yes,
Cannibal the Musical. There's
correct.
a few great songs in that.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, he is a very, very good songwriter.
It's just, yeah. And comedy music is not easy to do.
It's not. No, it really isn't.
And goddamn it,
it's hard
It's
to
so
write
good.
comedy. It's hard to write music, and to combine those two things together and make it enjoyable.
Oh, yeah.
is extremely hard to do.
Yes, while also being as offensive as possible. I really do feel like they've been canceled so many times before canceling was a thing. Like as soon as South
Like I
Park
said,
came out, every mom, except for mine, like lost their tits over it and were
Yeah, but the same thing happened when The Simpsons was new.
Well,
my parents
and Family Guy
didn't really want me watching The Simpsons, but I did.
Oh, my mom didn't care, and my dad did watch The Simpsons. It was not allowed in my grandma's house, though. But I was not allowed to wear a black T-shirt in my grandma's house either.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, she's too old to do anything about it now, and she comes to my house for Thanksgiving. So suck it, Grandma.
Yeah. Maybe we should watch some Simpsons when she comes.
Well, I don't want to do that to her. But yeah, and this is another movie that when we did the Pootie Tang episode, Robert Vaughn is in that.
Yeah,
and
playing the same character.
We talked about how he was in BASEketball then.
Yeah.
Because that's what I know him from. Yeah. Bob Costas and Al Michaels is also in BASEketball. And they have some of the best lines. And it is because they were legit ESPN
This
guys.
is everybody
Commentators?
is having fun in the movie.
Yes.
Everybody in this movie is having fun.
It's very self-aware. It knows exactly what it is.
It moves along very quickly.
It is so fucking funny.
Especially at the beginning of the movie when they kind of have to set up how
we never did get it back. So Coop and Reamer, Trey Parker, and Matt Stone go to this house party. It's like a high school reunion type thing, but they were not invited. Right.
Yeah, it was like I heard it through the grapevine.
Right.
And we showed up.
Yeah. Yes. And blah, blah, blah. Lots of gags and goofs and gaffes. And anyways, they end up on the, they are still hanging out playing Nintendo.
Yeah.
Everyone else is super preppy
just
and
assuming
successful.
everyone else is still hanging out.
Yeah.
And
He's like,
Nintendo.
oh, Skid Mark Steve. They're acting like it's still in high school. And Brittany, she was like, oh my God, no, it's not Brittany. Another girl, she's like, oh my God, you guys haven't changed since high school. And they're like, cool. And she's like, no, it's not. So Trey Parker walks around calling everyone a cock under his breath. And they end up on the driveway. And just basically talking about like they have no jobs, they have no chicks, like where the
they're feeling like losers at this point.
Oh yeah, because comparatively, I mean,
yeah, they just got everybody that they used to know in high school just pointed out the fact that they are a couple of losers.
Yeah,
now they're feeling down about themselves. They're
and they're just drinking beer and they're tossing the basketball, and they realize, they're good at basketball, but as long as they don't have to move or like dribble or anything like that, they can just kind of stand in one place and swish.
As long as they can hold a beer in one hand and throw the ball with the other hand, they're correct. Fine.
Yes. And these two preppy guys come out and challenge him to a game, and they're like, sure, how good can these guys be? And they're immediately amazing because of course they are.
Yeah. So now they got a problem.
Yeah, because they bet the guy was like, oh, you want to put $20 on it? Coop is like, well, how about 50? Yeah. And Reamer's like,
$50?
We don't have 20.
You don't have 20. Yeah, that was a good line.
Yeah. Anyways, and so they kind of, in order to like win this bout of masculinity, because the girls are watching too,
they got to come up with something quick,
right? And it's not horse
that benefits them,
right? Yeah.
So yes, that was the route that they started, was going horse.
Yeah, you have to stand in place, and if you can shoot from anywhere, and if you don't make it, you get a letter. It was like horse? No, it's not like horse. It's baseball rules. And so Coop and Reamer kind of develop this game off the cuff in order to win this little thing. And it kind of, you get a little time skip, they win.
So it combines the rules of baseball.
Yeah.
With the practicality of
basketball, with psych outs, which is like, which is something, again, Coop just kind of comes up with on the fly. He like spits some beer at the guy and he's like, oh, what are you doing? He's like, what? I'm psyching you out. What? That's allowed.
Know about that?
Psh, asshole.
What are you, an ass?
Yeah. No. Well, one of my favorite lines in that scene is Coop's like, oh, we can explain it more slowly if you can't keep up. You're not big sports guys. Yes. And of course the women are like, huh? And the guys are like, what? No, we got it.
Yeah. So yeah, you've got Trey and Matt. They're pretending to they're making these rules up on the fly. Yeah. So they're creating this game out of nothing, while at the same time these two preppy guys are trying to act like they understand all this. Of course,
yes.
So of course they get their ass kicked.
They do, yeah. But they decide it was actually pretty fun. Coop and Reamer, Trey and Matt.
And this is where we get the montage of them playing basketball in their driveway. Mm-hmm. And it's the neighbors are watching.
Yeah, they bring Kenny in.
It's like people on the street. Now the crowd's getting bigger and bigger, and it just turns into this block party thing, which is ridiculous.
Well, yes, because the shirts versus
two guys
or something like that.
No one knows, no one likes if they do know them. They're losers, and yet somehow they were able to get the entire fucking neighborhood out.
Absolutely.
On their driveway to watch them play baseball. I think it's because
they had Kenny with them by that point, who's Squeak Scolari.
Yeah, he shows up to turn off their gas.
Yeah, he works for the gas company. And then he gets fired because, they convince him not to. They basically are like, oh, yeah, well, I'll play you for it. And he's like, what do you mean? This is my job, you assholes. And they're like, no, come on. And so they rope him in, to playing a game in order to win the right to do his job to turn off their gas, and he loses. So
and this is the point where I will say I do think the setup to this movie is a little weak. I really do. None of these people would act like this if this was...
Because I don't think it really matters.
Nobody from the gas company is coming over to your house and saying, okay, I'll play you at a game of basketball.
They also have known him since high school. He was in high school with them.
Doesn't matter. It's still a little weak, but it doesn't really matter anyway, because the whole point of the movie is that just jokes anyway. It's a jokey joke movie.
Yes.
Yeah. So the plot aside, you're not supposed to think.
No.
You don't think about
it. Doesn't fucking matter. It's intentionally ridiculous. I mean, Ernest Borgnine shows up as basically the rich Texan, right? Yeah. From The Simpsons.
Yeah, Ted Denslow. He wants to invest.
Yeah, he's like, basketball. How'd you like to go pro?
Yeah, because he's aware that major sports are failing. Yeah. They're failing to capture an audience, and he really believes that this is something that can bring asses back into the seats.
Yeah, and he's like, he sees an opportunity. He's a businessman.
Yes.
But he does have a legitimately good heart. He wants what was good about sport to come back, and sees this as a way to have a fresh start. Yeah. So anyways, that's pretty much it. He dies not that long after. Well, 5 years later, because then you skip ahead again, and now it's a professional league and all of that stuff.
Yes, we have a time skip here of 5 years.
Yeah.
And we're already at the point where they're playing what's known as the Denslow Cup. So I guess this is apparently like the big game.
Yeah, right? Yeah. It's like the Stanley Cup.
Everybody's in attendance, incling Real Big Fish.
Yeah, they are the house band of the beers.
Yeah, they're just like the beers band. Which that really brought me back because, I mean, Real Big Fish was kind of big in the 90s.
Absolutely.
I loved them when I was a kid.
I know.
And just seeing them again, it was another one of those things that just like opened.
It's such a little time capsule in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, there's a lot of like
before
ska
we knew what a
bands
freak
soundtrack.
Jenny McCarthy was, when ska was like in things, you know, whole bunch of shit. When Ernest Borgnine was alive.
Right. So they're playing the Denslow Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Ted Denslow accidentally, he's eating a hot dog, and one of
the guy knocks it, or it's not her.
It's a guy sitting next to him.
Yeah, he accidentally knocks him and he swallows the hot dog and starts choking.
Yes, he chokes to death.
Yeah, and then they're playing Dallas for the Denslow Cup, and the guy who's trying to psych Coop out, you know, is like, hey dude, I think your boy Denslow is about to bite the big one, and you know, Coop turns to look, and Denslow's choking, and so of course he is psyched out, therefore his natural reaction is to and fall forward, because you know
that's what they all do.
That's what happens.
They all have the same reaction to these things.
Yes.
But yes, so now you've got the owner of the team dead.
Yeah.
And not only that, but Coop has just lost the big game.
Yeah. For them. And of course, everyone fucking blames him. And you're like, and of course, you know, this is where Bob Costas and Al Michaels come in. They're commenting the game, you know, and all of that. Yes, it really does seem to be raining shit on Joe Cooper tonight.
Right. Well,
that's not them. That's that other guy whose name I can't remember, who's like down on the field. But, yeah, I don't know. Jenny McCarthy plays Denslow's new wife, of like 4 months or something, like 3 months, I think. That's just important because it comes into play later.
Yeah, she's a gold digger.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, she's got her leopard print. She got her big old boobs. You know.
Yeah, she
plays it well.
Whoever's got the money, that's where I'm at. The money and the power.
Sure.
I'm
yes.
their wife.
So
she plays it well.
She did a good job.
Yeah.
Too bad she's a fucking psycho. Anyways, I used to like Singled Out too. Anyways, so. Yeah, I don't know. Denslow basically in his will says that Joe Cooper, Coop, Trey Parker, all the same man, he gives the team the beers to Coop with the stipulation of if they don't win the Denslow Cup the next year, it reverts to Yvette, who is Jenny McCarthy. So they basically that is your
and now she's
setup.
Being encroached upon by Baxter Kane.
Yes,
because he wants to have the team.
That's Robert Vaughn. He owns another basketball team and wants all the lucrative changes, the corporate tie-ins, people switching teams.
He wants to turn basketball into what sports has become.
Exactly.
He wants to corporatize it. He wants to monetize the hell out of it.
Correct.
And just, you know, basically burn it down and take the money away.
Yeah. And you know, Coop doesn't want anything to do with that. I do like, I don't know. There's a lot of little things little jokes throughout this movie that just fucking get like that particular night when Denslow died. I think it's Bob Costas. He's like, what an unfortunate thing to happen on Doesn't Ignite. You know, so it's like there's like themed nights. Because did you ever go to baseball games and stuff like that? I did too. I went to the Rangers games a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah, me too.
And they have themed. It's not like free range chicken night and Doesn't Ignite like it is here. Anal probe night.
Yeah, anal probe night.
A little different, but yeah. So it's a whole lot of taking actual things in this world and subverting them and making them offensive if possible, and stupid if not. So what are some of the moments that stand out to you, good or bad? Like cringy or fuck yeah?
Well, cringy is definitely the psych out gags.
Yeah.
I don't think they hold up.
You don't like the fat liposuctioned out of Marlon Brando's ass?
It's
all salty and warm.
To just be kind of beneath them.
Sure.
They've done better. They've definitely done better gags. And South Park, I feel, is better written.
I do think it's intentionally stupid.
Trey Parker and Matt Stone didn't write this movie, so maybe that has something to do with it.
What? Is that true?
It was written by David Zucker,
oh my goodness,
Robert Locash, and Louis Friedman.
Holy shit, they didn't.
They did not. They didn't have anything to do with the writing.
Crazy.
They may have had input with some of the jokes or some of the psych outs or whatever,
absolutely.
but a lot of it may have been improvised. Who knows? But I think
that's so funny.
That's unfortunately
interesting.
That is where
I never knew that.
Most of the comedy is coming from in this movie is from the psych outs. And I just don't think that they were
I don't know
written
about
very
that.
well.
There's a lot of real funny shit that had nothing to do with the psychos.
Yeah, but all the funny shit has to do with like mannerisms of Trey and Matt, right?
Yes.
Like Matt, like biting his finger.
Well, I like
that type of shit where.
Well, it's like when Ernest Borgnine like comes up to Trey Parker before they go pro, and he's like, "Haven't you ever wanted to be a sports hero?" And Trey like whips around and he goes, "Once,
I did,
but that
once
was a long time ago."
Long time ago.
Well, no, I mean this movie works because of those two men, like genuinely,
right?
And I love them both.
And I heard that they wanted to put Chris Farley in Trey Parker's role.
Oh, Jesus.
Which is weird to me because this movie came out in 98 and Chris Farley died in 96, didn't he?
I don't remember when he died.
So I don't know. Apparently in the inception of writing this movie, they had Chris Farley in mind.
It's a possibility that this movie was intended to be that and then turned into something years later. I don't know. I didn't look into that.
It most likely had something to do with the fact that South Park had happened. So Trey and Matt got brought on because they were kind of, I guess, on the rise. I don't know. But yeah, this was not intentionally written for Matt and Trey to be in.
Okay, this is insane. So David Zucker, who had a first look deal at Universal Pictures, pitched the idea of a lowbrow comedy about a game he invented and played in the 1980s. He had previously attempted to adapt the idea into a TV series without success. A pilot episode was filmed which starred Chris Rock, but it did not materialize into a series.
This movie really could have benefited from Chris Rock. They could have put Chris Rock in here somewhere.
He could, yes. Yeah.
He was big enough.
Let's get another Pootie Tang tie-in.
Right.
Yeah, no, I guess he had initially wanted Chris Farley to play the lead role, but then South Park became so big, he went after Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
There you go.
And they agreed to do the movie under the assumption that their show would have been canceled by the time filming began, and this obviously did not happen, so they worked on both at the same time.
Yeah. This at this point in time, like
that's fascinating.
Trey Parker and Matt Stone were working very hard. They had a lot going on.
Oh,
because, Orgasmo came out in 97. Mm-hmm. South Park came out in 97. This came out in 98. The South Park movie came out in 99. I mean, they were just like, they were working
They
constantly.
had the fucking grind on. Like, yes. And I have a lot of respect for them. Like, truthfully, they had help along the way, but they were very much two guys making construction paper, dolls out of, and doing really rudimentary animation, and look at everything they fucking accomplished.
And then 9/11 happened and they had to write Team America.
Oh, God, I prefer to forget about Team America personally. I know you do. I don't really have an issue with puppets or marionettes or whatever, but they legit creepy to me. Mm-hmm. And the sex scene is like one of the worst things I've ever seen.
It's one of the hottest sex scenes in the movie ever.
No. Thanks. No, that's going to be in my head. But anyways, okay. That's a cringe moment for you. What's something else that really stands out about the movie? Faves and
what
not
stands
faves.
Out?
Yeah.
Well, there's a kiss. That really stands out.
Okay. So,
I mean, do we need to keep going with the plot of this thing, or are we just going to start?
No, I say we just go with the hits and misses or whatever.
Right on.
Okay.
I'm down.
The kiss. Okay. So throughout the course of the movie, like Coop and Reamer kind of find themselves being manipulated in two opposite sides, to where Reamer wants to kind of sell out and all of that, and Coop's like, hell no. They have a falling out, whatever. There's a very inspiring speech by Kenny dressed as a pineapple on the Board of Peace. Yes. And, he makes them realize, like, what's really important, right? And to stop fighting. And you have to also keep in mind, again, this is 1998. You did not see two men make the fuck out like that.
Oh, yeah, they definitely
There
go
is
at it.
tongue. The hands are in like hair.
Yep.
It is so passionate.
This is a scene that only two bestest of
long
friends
time best
could
friends
ever possibly
absolutely
pull off.
because they play it perfectly. I was going to say straight, but that's not accurate.
And they just go to the next scene and it's just like
it's never addressed.
It was nothing.
No, they make up, they make out, and then they go and win the Denslow
That was
Cup.
definitely. I remember seeing that the first time and laughing my ass off.
Oh my god! No, I saw it in theaters, and everybody we had to sneak. Was I old enough? I wasn't old enough. But shut up! I found my way in anyways. Yeah, no, the entire theater lost our fucking minds because you just didn't. It's still. What is it? What is it that makes me laugh so hard about two not gay guys actually committing enough to kiss?
Because it's the idea that like this is how they make up, right?
Yeah,
like they've done this before.
dude.
Yeah, this was not something they just decided to do spur of the moment. This is just kind of like their thing.
Yeah,
that stood out to me.
I fucking love it.
I mean,
so
there's
much.
all kinds of things in this movie that are just not gonna happen in a movie today. There's a whole like side plot with like a Make-A-Wish Foundation where like one of the kids is dying and he wants Cooper to hit 3 home runs in the big game for him.
Yes.
And he just knows that he'll pull through his
surgery.
liver surgery.
Yeah.
He's got a transplant surgery coming up. So they take him out to the bar and he's just like,
well, yeah, his
pounding
Make-A-Wish
shots with him.
thing is to spend a day with the beers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they take him out to the bar because that's what they do.
Yeah,
and-
I mean, they work on a car. They do some yard work.
Yeah.
They go do tequila shots. And yeah.
Yeah, that's just another thing in this movie. It was not put in a movie today. You're not going to see a kid
drinking
liquor in a movie ever.
I mean, he had the lime, he had the salt on the hand, he had every fucking
Yeah. He was a pro for sure.
He was.
What else? I mean, like I mentioned earlier, there were some things that were just very insensitive towards certain groups of people. Like at one point, Kenny, when they're at the bar, he sees a girl that he likes, and they're like, "That's a dude."
Yeah.
And of course, it's a dude in drag.
Yeah, it is. They end up together though.
Yeah, good for them.
So
progressive.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
And then along that same line, I mean, the different teams are named after stereotypes.
Are you talking about San Francisco?
The San Francisco fairies.
Well, it's Ferries, okay?
Yeah.
Because
and they're
of
all
the
very
fairy.
effeminate. And
Absolutely.
then, of course, their cheerleaders are also men.
Oh, yeah, we didn't even talk about the cheerleaders. So all the cheerleaders or the dancers for each team are always in like super suggestive either lingerie or like
Yes. Yeah, it's
sexy outfits.
it's pinup cheesecake
Sure.
type shit.
And so, yeah, no, the San Francisco team are all super buff dudes in Speedos, all oiled up and like running their hand down their chest.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm talking about is equal opportunity, okay? Like, I don't know. It never occurred to me to be offended by the girls, like, on the poles and like in their panties and big old boobs and stuff like that.
When
Like,
this movie
why would
came
I?
out, like, it wasn't even a thing.
Well,
like,
and
it was
again,
just expected.
this is all satire on fucking sports.
Right. There was
So,
in real
it's
life, there was
intentionally
never a
ridiculous.
sports team that had a cheerleader group that were dressed up like dominatrixes.
Okay, no. However, the Dallas Cowgirls or Cowboys, whatever, the cheerleaders
Right.
are like worldwide known for being like super sexy, like the sexiest. They have tons of pinup and calendars, and I mean, they have the tiny little tops and the skirts. It's barely any different. It
Yeah.
really is. It's literally just like, what is the uniform made out of? And yeah, okay, I guess maybe their ass isn't technically all out because they're not in thongs, but
yes,
they jump, you can see their butts.
it does
okay?
get a little gratuitous with
See, I don't know.
the
I'm probably supposed to be offended
women
by
exploiting
that.
their bodies.
But who gives a shit? It's fine. And sometimes it's funny.
I don't know if there's really anything like cringy. I think is the love interest between Trey
Yasmine
Parker
Bleeth.
and Yasmine Bleeth.
What else was she in?
Baywatch.
Okay, I didn't watch it. I don't know. I thought maybe she was, but she was one that I always get confused with another one. Who was Carmen Electra.
She was on it too.
Well, okay, but Carmen Electra, I feel like was more popular, more famous.
Than Yasmin Bleeth?
I think so.
I feel like they were pretty equal.
You think so?
Yeah, and
I think I also...
we can all agree that Pamela Anderson was the one that came out of that on top.
Well, obviously, yes, and David Hasselhoff.
Right.
I didn't watch Baywatch, but I didn't even include Pam Anderson in that because obviously I never confused her with anybody else. But I always kind of got the two of them confused, Carmen Electra and Yasmin Bleeth. They look very similar to me. And I feel like they would have played similar. Well, they're like beautiful, big-boobed, brunette
Until
girls.
I watched this movie again, I had forgotten all about Yasmin Bleeth.
Yeah. Well, Carmen Electra also had that reality show with Dave Navarro and whatnot. Because they were together for a long time.
So. I
do.
I can't stand reality shows. So.
Well, I didn't say I watched the show. I'm just aware that it existed.
They're just not on my radar, really.
Well, I think that was on MTV or something, too.
Well, I take that back. I did like Iron Chef.
Dude, Iron Chef's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I still like Iron Chef. I don't know where to watch it now because we don't have actual TV. Probably Netflix or something. Oh, can we talk about their enormous penises?
I mean, yes. There is a scene in the locker room.
Dude, it's like... You go ahead. I can't talk.
I mean, what can you say about it? That's the joke, right? They're in the locker room. They're naked.
Okay, because Robert Vaughn comes in to try and blackmail them, right? Because he convinced them to start a clothing line, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter, okay? They are totally nude. You do see their butts. You don't see the front necessarily, but their dicks are easily the size of a grown man's forearm and go down to the ground.
Yes.
Because you see like just part of the shaft, I guess, the dangle. And but what makes that entire fucking thing so funny is one of them turns around real fast.
Yeah, it's Trey Parker.
Yeah, I know. And just whoop, and it like thuds like across. You don't see it, but you see Robert Vaughn dodge back, and you hear it thud.
I had forgotten about this scene, but when they started the scene after rewatching this, I remember his dick like smacking him.
Oh.
And it didn't.
Is this a Mandela effect?
Yes, it was a Mandela effect. I distinctly remember him spinning around and his dick hitting
Robert
Baxter
Vaughn.
Kane.
Oh my God. That's so funny. No, it definitely doesn't. But he is like, oh my God. But I love, and another thing that, I don't know, man. I love how casually naked they are. Like they don't think anything about it. Because they're like, there's like little stances and stuff. Like you can see their butts, but I don't know. You laughed at like Trey Parker like shifts his weight at some point and gets all sassy. And his butt's like right there. You're just like, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the scenes that definitely stands out. God, what else?
I'm talking to you listening. Have you seen BASEketball? What sticks out to you?
Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know.
Yeah, use your huge dick to smash that bell.
Teabag that like button.
Ooh, dip. Yeah. There are brief kind of unintentional, maybe intentional cameos from a couple of South Park people too, like characters, just in the way that Trey Parker says things sometimes. It's
very hard because, Trey and Matt both voice characters on South Park. Right. And it's really hard not to hear those characters.
But you do hear Mr. Garrison at one point because he's like, oh, I forgot how much Doug Reamer cares about kids. And he says like that, just that last part. And then there's a very intentional Cartman psych out. Yep. I'm not going to attempt to do the voice because I'm no good at it. But he's basically calling the guy that he's up against fat and, doing the Cartman thing. So, yeah, I remember seeing that the first time. And it was very much, that's the thing I
That's the guy. He did the voice.
Oh my god! But it is cool to see. I mean, you know, I'm always super impressed by really talented voice actors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, I go to conventions. I like voice actors.
Well,
it's fucking cool to see.
It's interesting to see the way they have to contort themselves to like get these voices.
Or when they don't, and they look like they are speaking normally. And it is an entire different fucking voice than what you know. I don't know. I have a lot of respect for it. It's probably the anime nerd in me, but
they both have very distinctive voices. Like if you just heard them talk, you would know.
I mean, obviously Cartman, yes, that voice he does. You know, he like squishes his head back and all of that stuff.
Right.
But I love the song when Coop's in the car.
The one that is very
singing
specific to things that are happening.
And it's a very Michael McDonald style kind of song.
Yeah.
It starts out that way. And the best friend has turned his back. But I mean, it's Trey Parker, right? He's just singing a song to himself about what's going on. Yeah.
He can't help but write a song.
Yeah.
Everything he does, he has to write a song for it.
Dude, for whatever reason, especially when I was younger, that bit in particular, the whole look out ahead, there's a truck changing lanes. Like I thought that was like the height of comedy.
Really?
Yeah. When I was like in middle school, yeah.
I remember laughing at it, but it really didn't stick with me.
Well, it did. I hadn't seen anything like that at that point in my life.
Yeah.
Like that gag hadn't really been done in a way that I had seen. I'm not saying he came up with it, but I hadn't seen it and it just fucking killed me for whatever reason. I remember thinking that was like one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. I don't know that it still is. I like the big dicks and the gay kissing more now.
I bet you do.
I literally just said it that way so it would sound bad.
To each their own.
Oh, man. Another thing I really like is Robert Vaughn, Baxter Kane, big bad guy, right? His reactions at how stupid everyone around him is.
Yeah, for sure. This is a stupid movie.
Yes,
like this is
absolutely.
One of the dumbest movies.
It's really smart though.
But
it's smart in its dumbness, right?
And even though it is constantly throwing jokes at you, I mean, every 2 minutes they're throwing another joke, another gag.
Sure.
It's one of those types of movies. But the characters of Coop and Reamer are just they're so likable.
Yeah.
That these jokes they don't get old, even though they are kind of similar.
Yeah.
They don't. There's something charming about the characters in general.
Yes.
And you really just
genuinely
kind of enjoy the experience of watching this.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like the jokes were tacked on. I didn't feel like they had too many, really, even though there are a lot of just jokes and gags. Like I said, this is that type of movie where they're throwing.
But they still had enough character development, so to speak, for you to actually care about these people.
Yeah.
At least Coop and Reamer.
And, you know, a lot of the comedy, too, is coming from the fact that they're constantly calling Squeak a little bitch.
Yeah.
He's doing all the physical comedy in this.
He gets tossed around a lot.
Yes, he's getting his ass kicked.
Yeah.
At one point, he's like spinning around in a hot tub and gets sucked down the drain.
Oh, he does. That does happen. He does the Braveheart thing where he's like, freedom, but it's on the garage door.
Yeah.
Because he's chained to the door. But that's in the background.
Even in the final like scene of the movie when he like has to do the psych out on one of the bigger guys, he completes his character arc. And he's like, I heard your sister's going out with Squeak. That's what he says, his sister's going out with Squeak. And then apparently the entire team has to kick his ass. So the whole time that, you know, Coop and Reamer are giving interviews, you can see him in the background just getting his ass kicked.
That particular one is because of the dead mother joke that he told. Because he was like, your mother's deaf. And the guy was like, my mother's dead, you idiot. And he's like, I guess that's why she didn't move around a lot.
Yeah.
Because he's reading it off his hand. Because I think it was Coop. No, it was Reamer that wrote it down.
Yeah, they gave him the psych out gag.
They were like, come on. Because the guy in question was like this really big fucking guy. And they're like, no one would expect it coming from you. This is genius.
Yeah,
so
he's the punchline in all of these.
Yeah, well, and the person that he finds attractive
is a man.
probably, who is, very tall, very big. And at the end is just kind of bouncing Squeak like up and down on the ground, like, yay, yay. So yeah, he is that kind of more physical comedy.
Well, and I mean, she does have the cutest little Adam's apple.
The softest lips. Yeah. Yes. And So
there's a scene there where he's describing everything he likes about this girl, and they're throwing up thinking about the idea of it being a man.
they're throwing up because they were tremendously hungover after all the tequila shots they did with the Make-A-Wish kid.
Right.
But no, yeah, Reamer is he's not normally very stupid, but when he's with Baxter Kane, I was talking about how I like that Baxter Kane, he does this, what? No.
Yeah, he's having a aneurysm through this whole movie because he's trying to be
evil villain mastermind, and everyone's too well, not Coop, but Coop won't even talk to him. So everybody it's Jenny McCarthy and Matt Stone that he tries to get on his side. Right. And they're both real dumb. They're real dumb. So it makes it very hard, and you could just see the migraine forming in his eyes.
Exactly.
And I like that. She's like, hey, Baxter,
that's what it is. There's a lot of running gags that this movie relies on. Mm-hmm. One of them is Yvette and Baxter. After Ted Denslow passes away, now Baxter is trying to hit on Yvette so that he can if they could get them to lose the next Denslow Cup, then the team reverts back to Yvette,
right? And
he will, if he's with her, then he will have control over the team.
And he basically lets it be known to her too. So
they're flirting with each other. And another running gag in this movie is that he keeps giving her sexual innuendos, like buffing his floors.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's
literally he wants
the next scene she's buffing the floor.
Because she's like, oh, I know exactly what you mean. And then cut to her in her skimpy dress and, trying to buff the floor. Yeah.
Or what was it, like lay some tile?
Yeah.
Let's go home and lay some tile.
Yeah.
And then that's
she's like,
literally what she's doing.
Carpet. Yeah, because she's got like the little, whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah. She sucks all the chrome off of the
trailer hitch.
Yeah. Or it's implied because she's got super bright silver lipstick on, and she's like, I finished with this one. You want me to start on this
one?
Like, what?
So,
what?
Yes, this movie is relying on running jokes.
Sure.
It's relying on running jokes and, the sight gags.
It's a lot of different kinds of comedy kind of mashed up together. And some of it is extremely smart. Some of it's satirical. Almost all of it's stupid. And a lot of it's offensive. And I love this movie.
Yeah. And, one of the things in this movie, too, is Coop he's made his own ball out of a lazy boy.
Lazy boy, yeah.
And it's the only ball that he's been using.
Right. From the beginning. Yeah.
Of course, the movie comes down to it's him.
Bottom of the ninth. Yeah.
Yes. He has to make this shot. His ball
lazy boy pops.
And, he made one for the Make-A-Wish kid and gave it to him. And the kids that are all part of this Make-A-Wish,
they made one. Yeah. Because he brought Lazy Boy so he could see it in the hospital, and he's like, wow, Lazy Boy, which again, that always bothered me because it says Lazy Boy like it's all faded like on the side of the ball, but I have never once seen a Lazy Boy recliner that says Lazy Boy on it, because he made it out of pieces of his chair that he had. Anyways, yeah, and so they worked to make a ball just for him.
And the Make-A-Wish kids all love BASEketball.
Yeah.
They think Coop is the greatest player in the game. They all love him.
And of course, the director of the foundation is Yasmin Bleeth. Yeah. A lot more sick kids than you'd think.
Oh, Jenna. Oh.
No, okay. So there are things I quote to this day. I use it. I always have. I always will. And that is one. Jenna. Is one of them. The one I do more than anything, which is something that I lost my mind the first time I heard Danny do it on Game Grumps, is, well, good. I'm glad. Which is from Coop and Reamer's fight.
Yeah.
When they're like, well, maybe I'm not best friends anymore. Well, maybe good. Okay, well, good. I'm glad. Mm-hmm. And it's, wake up, bitch, you're my new best friend.
These are grown-ass toddlers.
Correct. Yes.
The movie.
But it takes a mind like that to create a sport like BASEketball, I think, because the sport itself is ridiculous.
Something else that stands out to me, I think it's just like, being that Trey Parker and Matt Stone, like, you don't really see one without the other.
Not too often.
They are great together. They're great together in this. I think when they do...
No, their chemistry, and I don't just mean their makeout scene, is like they play off each other so well. They understand each other.
Any of their live action movies that they have been in together, they definitely do have good chemistry together. I think like everybody in this movie, at least the ones that are interacting mostly with Trey and Matt, are kind of on that same page too. I think that they all work together well.
Yes. The casting's really good in this.
Dian Bachar? Yeah. Is that his name?
Sure. Honestly, I don't know. It's spelled Dianbachar.
He is,
and that's Kenny Squeak Scolari
in this role. I think if anybody in this movie besides Trey and Matt are stealing the scenes, it's him.
Oh, he's great. He's great. Yeah.
Everybody in this movie is doing a really good job. I'm not the biggest fan of Jenny McCarthy. I think this role is perfect for her. She's not in a whole lot of scenes.
It's exactly the type of thing she was good at playing.
Yeah. She's not in a whole lot of scenes. The scenes that she's in go by pretty quick. She's just kind of there as like...
I mean, she's a pretty blonde with big tits in tight leopard out. She's the gold digger. She plays that role and she does a good job.
Yeah. Like Yasmin Bleeth in this... Again, she's another one that like she's
fine.
She's okay, but I
think she's kind of bland.
I've never been a huge fan of hers. Aside from Baywatch, I couldn't tell you a damn thing that she
does an okay job. Like she does what she needs, and she's also meant to be more of a very nurturing, button down. I mean, she's the director of the Make-A-Wish Foundation,
right?
So she's not this over the top character. And she's super down to earth, and obviously, she
is pretty bland in this, but I think she's supposed to be.
That's what I'm saying.
And she's also kind of like just like a lot of people in this movie. She's just kind of looking at these characters
and
like
going, "Wow,
oh my god!" Like,
well, and I think she gets pretty confused about the fact that she starts to have feelings for Coop because she's like,
"That's one of the things I could have done without in this movie." I think that whole thing is kind of tacked on.
It added to the drama between Coop and Reamer, though. And a lot of that shit was really funny because their approaches at wooing her are very different. And I think it's funny.
I can understand why characters like Coop and Reamer would be attracted to this woman. I don't understand why this woman would want to hang around either one of them.
Well, see,
that's the part of this that just
there's
hard
a big difference between wanting to hang around Trey Parker and wanting to hang around Coop. There's a big difference.
Yes,
because I would assume that Coop isn't a composer or like all on his. I mean, they created BASEketball, but again. That was just being drunk on a driveway.
He hasn't done anything in this film.
He's just very much an every guy.
To like deserve the admiration that she gives him.
Well, I mean, by that point, he is a professional basketball player. I think she likes his morality, honestly, because throughout the entire movie, he never for a moment entertains the idea of selling out. He is very true to the spirit of the game, of what has been created, as opposed to... well,
and if you look at it from the angle of like, the kids from the Make-A-Wish Foundation,
they all look up to him.
Think
of the value he has brought into their lives just by doing his own thing.
That's kind of like on the same lines as like a guy you're not really into comes over to your place and your dog likes him. So you can like...
Hey, yes, hi.
So maybe
Welcome
he's not
to the Pretty
a terrible
Little Podcast
person.
where we compare dying children to dogs.
You know what I mean, though.
I know what you... Well, okay. So...
If you bring a guy home and your dog is growling at him, you're never going to date him.
Well, it's like they say, animals are a good barometer as to the quality of people.
And so are dying children. That was just that's what I got from it.
Interesting.
I was watching it, I was sitting here trying to be like, what is it that this woman actually sees in him? I don't understand this.
I mean, I don't know. He's a nice guy. He's a genuinely nice guy.
You could even go under the assumption that like, okay, basketball has become this big sport or whatever, but there's no way he's making like football money.
Well, that's the whole point is they don't. They don't make a lot of money because they're in it for the love of the game.
Well, I couldn't even go off that angle of,
but she's not a gold digger.
He's extremely famous and rich because of this sport.
No.
Well, that's not even the case either.
I think she sees a guy who maybe didn't have a whole lot of aspirations, but found something he was good at and created something out of nothing and refuses to buy into the whole corporate shit. Or she was written to fall in love with the main character.
I'm just jaded, man. I'm old enough to understand that the world revolves around money and sex.
Maybe for some people.
It sucks, but I mean...
I don't think that's true across the board, though.
No, well, I think that things are changing.
That goes against the whole spirit of the movie.
I think things are changing in a lot of ways because I'm like, anybody that knows me, that has talked to me, like, I can't really stand celebrities.
Really?
Well, this is one of the well, it's one of the reasons why I liked Trey Parker and Matt Stone to begin with, because South Park was famous for
and still is to this day of mocking celebrity culture, celebrity, everything.
And I 100% was able to get on board with that. I
remember they went to some award show in dresses.
Yeah.
In like the early and that was like, whoa, at the time.
Making a mockery of the whole fucking thing. Yeah. I loved it. So, but I do think that we are entering some kind of era recently where people just really are sick and tired of celebrity bullshit.
Well,
and putting themselves on pedestals and acting like they're better than us and giving us advice of how we should be living our lives.
Yeah.
When they have no fucking feet on the ground when it comes to the common person.
I feel like, and not to get too off topic, I feel like some of that veneer cracked during COVID. When they did the whole Imagine thing, you know, and it was a lot of celebrities in their mansions, like going, we're all in this together.
These people
and you're
are
like,
bought and sold.
The fuck?
Period. And they
can't relate to me.
Yes, they have no idea what you and I go through on a daily basis or what it takes to keep our fucking roof over our head and our lights on.
We're okay.
They don't know.
We're doing
They don't know
fine.
what bills are. They don't even know what money is. They just get money because they have money.
You're making it sound like we're like bankrupt. Like we're better than we've ever been.
We're fine, but like what?
No, I know. I just see you. I see the little Chad getting all worked up about this because you're very passionate.
I don't give a fuck about anybody giving me advice that has no idea what I go through.
What about Ryan Gosling? Would you listen to his opinions?
No.
You love that man.
I'll probably find out that he's one of the worst ones.
Oh, I hope not. For your sake, because I'm ambivalent when it comes to him. But
well, let us know, Ryan. Are you a good guy or not? Like, comment, subscribe.
I know he refused to eat cereal. I remember that.
Yeah.
He did not want to eat his cereal.
We all saw the video.
That was so funny. I really am entertained by the stupidest things. I really am.
But yeah, I do think we're entering some kind of era where like the grasp that Hollywood and celebrities used to have on us is kind of going away.
I hope so.
Especially since like anybody can be famous.
I hope so, provided that leads people to actually research and think for themselves rather than just turning to influencers / YouTubers / whatever, you know, just replacing that because just because you are famous does not make you a role model.
No, absolutely.
And
not.
I think that those two have been conflated and into being like the same thing by a lot of people.
We have been looking up to celebrities for far too long.
Right.
In my opinion. Like, I mean, even when I was a kid, they were kind of terrible.
Well, you were a gutter punk kid, though.
Yeah, I mean, I've always looked up to bands, artists, you know, things like that.
Well, and my
directors.
favorite band just did the whole dynamic pricing with Ticketmaster.
Yeah, they're jumping on that bandwagon too.
I adore you, My Chemical Romance. Go fuck yourselves. Or whoever's in charge of you, whatever. I'm not paying $3,000 to go see you. It's not going to happen.
No.
Nope. Release a new album, please. I'll listen to that on Spotify.
But yeah, just the fact that they've always been poking fun at celebrities and kind of like, you know, giving them shit.
That's like I said, they've been canceled constantly. They're like immune to it at this point.
But again, they were backed by South Park, which is too big to fail.
Right. And again, they agreed to make this movie because they figured like the show itself would have been canceled by that point.
And there's nothing that the media or Hollywood hates more than somebody that has something that is uncancelable.
Than a fuck you success story.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. They hate it.
Well, and I think that really spoke to a lot of us that are around our age too. It's people like Trey Parker, Matt Stone, Jackass in a different way. Like the different bands we listen to, the different like people we look up to in various ways very much had that spirit of, yeah, I'm going to do my own thing.
Mm-hmm. And, another thing that's
people respond to that.
Appealing about these two is that like, they've never been caught up in scandals. They weren't part of the Me Too movement.
Oh God, no.
They just do their thing. They do it well. Mm-hmm. And they don't get caught up in the Hollywood bullshit. I doubt either one of them. I feel
like if either of them ever did, there would be such immediate outcry because that goes against everything they've built for 30 years.
I doubt they've been to any specific islands.
Or parties.
We'll leave that there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a lot of respect for them. And BASEketball, it's not my favorite thing that they've done. It's definitely good for what it is. It's a stupid, goofy, cornball stoner movie. It is something
that is so close to my heart. And to this day, I can't fully explain why. I probably was part of it was just the age I was when it came out. Age. I imprinted on it like a baby bird.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. And like most things like this, like, the first movie that I saw them in would have been BASEketball.
Yeah.
And that was kind of before I even knew who they were really, what they were up to. South Park wasn't even really on my radar when I saw this movie. I knew what South Park was.
Oh, see, I definitely watched South Park.
But I hadn't seen any episodes of South Park. And it wasn't until like probably the following year, right before the South Park movie came out, that I actually watched some South Park with my friends. And being completely honest, I didn't get it at first. I was a Simpsons kid. South Park and The Simpsons were kind of the rival.
Yeah, but I feel like by that point, The Simpsons was starting to fall off a little more. What season were they in?
The Simpsons?
Yeah, in 2000.
2000?
Yeah.
They were approaching season 9 or 10.
Okay. So it was still good. Yeah. It was still good at that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
And that's kind of why I kind of rejected South Park in a way, is because I was like, well, I'm a Simpsons. It's like I like Sega. I don't need Nintendo. Yeah. There were so many rivalries.
Backstreet Boys versus NSYNC.
You picked a side. You were either a skateboarder or you were a fucking nerd.
Fuck you. I don't have screws in my leg.
You were either a skateboarder or you were an inline skater, and nobody wanted to be a fucking rollerblader. Excuse
you. I will have you know that I spent a great many hours enjoying my rollerblades. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I stood on a skateboard once and I was like, nope. Not for me.
I've been on a skateboard a few times.
Yes, I'm aware. You're so cool. You're just the coolest.
That's how I spent my time as a kid.
I know.
I skateboarded. I drummed.
Yeah.
That was it.
Drummed.
I drummed. I listened.
You got shot at in fields.
Yeah, I did. I look, man, nobody would have liked me when I was younger. I was a little shithead.
No, I have long said I am very glad I met you when I did and not sooner.
Yeah, it was very
You
hard
would not
to
have been into me and I would not have been. I would have thought you were hot, but too much trouble. Like I'm not dealing with that. No.
You weren't the only one.
But that thought you were too much to deal with. Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, definitely that. But yeah, it was just one of those things where like in the 90s, you just kind of picked a side. I was on the Simpsons side of things, so I kind of rejected South Park. But after seeing BASEketball, and then like that really was kind of like the catalyst into Trey Parker and Matt Stone for me, because then after that, I watched Orgasmo. Cannibal the Musical, I didn't see.
That was harder to find.
Yeah.
Cannibal the Musical.
Well, at least back then, because it wasn't released on DVD, was like...
It was on DVD.
Well, yeah, but it was like DVD was in its
not
infancy.
DVD. I meant VHS. It was, because they had Orgasmo, they had Cannibal the Musical, they had BASEketball, and then they had a non-whatever. They had Attack of the Killer Condom. And I just remember like the shelf at the video store, like all of those movies were like right in the same area, which being me was like right where I went to.
Once I actually watched the South Park movie, that's when I was like, okay, I'll give South Park a shot.
That was some next level shit though. Like I maintain that is an incredible piece of media. Yeah. Like it's a full ass musical. It all makes sense. It's fucking great.
Yeah. And, you know, these guys, they kind of exist for me. The height was probably between 97 and 2004.
Yeah.
When Team America came out, that was another one that really got me because I fucking love that movie.
I know you do. I feel like that is almost your BASEketball. Like, as much as I love BASEketball, you love Team America.
Yeah, but it's wild to think that like we are so far removed from Team America now that there is a whole generation that won't get that movie.
No. Oh yeah, no, definitely.
They don't understand.
That was very much of the time, which just like BASEketball is very much of the time. Each season of South Park is very much of the time. That's how they stay relevant.
Yeah.
Because there's always something new to fucking look at and go, this is fucking stupid. Are you guys seeing this?
Well, and part of the appeal of like, let's take a South Park versus a Simpsons, right? Mm-hmm. South Park, you can watch that now, and they have managed to keep the characters of South Park faithful to who they are as characters while also adapting with the times.
Sure. Be
it the internet age coming in, cell phones, technology, shit like that. They actually find a way to incorporate that into the characters' lives and make fun of it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you watch The Simpsons now, and you go back and watch like the first few seasons of that is a completely different family.
Right. Yeah.
They have changed these characters over time so much that they are unrecognizable to me.
Well, I feel like that's also partly when The Simpsons originally was conceived versus South Park. South Park was much later, over a decade later, something like that.
I mean,
because like,
yes, The Simpsons definitely had a head start.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, the idea of Bart as the bad boy was a slingshot and a skateboard.
Right.
You know, there's only so far you can go with that. Whereas, you know, the kids of South Park are far more timeless because they don't really stand out and they don't have a thing that makes them, like, Cartman eats. Okay. Kenny dies.
Yeah.
Kyle's Jewish and Stan is there, you know, so like,
yeah,
that's much easier to adapt as the world changes around them because they're really just, most of what they are is their personality rather than like hobbies, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
That pigeonhole you into a more specific time frame.
Yeah, it sucks, but I mean, like, at least for me, like my era of The Simpsons, I don't really care to watch any of it past the year 2000. Season 10 is kind of where I stop.
Yeah.
When it comes to The Simpsons. And even then, I haven't really watched an episode of The Simpsons in so many years.
When Disney Plus first became a thing and we got a free trial, we don't have Disney Plus anymore, obviously, because why would we pay for that?
I also had the DVDs.
Well, you collected the DVDs. Yeah. Like for many years, my mom's Christmas present to you was whatever the newest Simpsons season had come out was.
Yes.
But we went through and had a marathon, you know, of like the greatest hits, so to speak. And a lot of those seasons of The Simpsons absolutely still hold up. They're fucking great.
Yeah. 94 to like 98 for me is like that sweet spot of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And that's right when South Park was like starting to take off.
But also the world was changing by that point. Like the South Park just being on Comedy Central could be a lot cruder, a lot raunchier, a lot whatever than The Simpsons could. The Simpsons by that point had become such a staple. At least, okay, so like back in the day, you know, like I said, my grandma did not allow The Simpsons in her house. Yeah. But it became so comparatively tame to what a lot of the other stuff was like coming out and going on in movies, in music, in video games. Like the world had just become a more hardcore, I guess, whatever place. And The Simpsons kind of fell behind on that because if suddenly... Well, yeah, there's just a lot of shit you can't do with such well-established characters.
It came out of the gate in the same way as like The Simpsons in its inception when it first came out. It was like the parental advisory sticker on a CD.
Yeah, sure.
That made you buy the CD.
100%. No, you saw out the one that said
and your grandparents hated The Simpsons just made you want to watch it more.
I feel like by the time South Park came out, The Simpsons had become more of a family thing, though. I mean, that could just be because I watched it with my family. I don't know, but it definitely.
I can't say that I watched a single episode with my parents.
Really? My dad. My dad watched it.
Yeah, my mom did not watch The Simpsons.
Well, I can't imagine your mom watching The Simpsons. No, not at all.
My sister didn't watch it.
Well, I guess my family's
just my friends at school, and that was one of the things where you didn't if you missed the new episode of The Simpsons and went to school the next day, like everyone was talking about it, and you just kind of had to fake your way through that conversation, like you watched it because you didn't want anybody to know you didn't see it,
right?
You know.
Anyways,
not to turn this into a
it's like we're getting
Simpsons versus South Park episode, but yeah, BASEketball is definitely one of those movies that kind of it came and went. It was big for a second. I don't really hear anybody talking about the movie anymore.
No, that's one reason I wanted to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be picking tons of things for this show that are just kind of
things we like, man.
Yeah.
One of the three of us like them.
They might have been big at one point in time, but kind of went away.
Yeah, that's fine. So you want some facts? You want some BASEketball facts?
Yeah, let me hear them.
All right. So it was released on July 31st, 1998. Opening alongside The Parent Trap, The Negotiator, and Ever After. It debuted in the number 11 spot in its opening weekend, which was led by Saving Private Ryan. So that kind of says what people were going to. So
they had some stiff competition there.
Yeah. It has a 41 on Rotten Tomatoes. An average rating of 5.3 out of 10.
That's fair.
Which is, I don't know, man.
Like I said, I'm very middle of the road on this. It's not my favorite movie they've done. It's certainly not my favorite thing they've done together. But
although audiences surveyed by CinemaScore, whatever that is, gave the film a grade B on a scale of A to F. So I think that's fair.
Sure. I give it a B minus.
I think it's great.
I think it is a great attempt. But again, this is not a film that was written by them, which I think is why it suffers as much as it does. Not that it's bad or not all these jokes are good. You're not going to laugh at all of them. There are going to be a few that come out that they're going to take you by surprise. I didn't want to just go scene by scene on this film, mainly just because, yes, we changed the format of the show a little bit, but also I don't want to ruin these movies for you guys. Go watch it. We watched it because we have the DVD, so I don't know where you would find it streaming. I think it's on YouTube for rent. I'm sure you can get it on Amazon.
BASEketball is credited with coining the internet slang term derp. Derp.
Okay.
Anyways, that's just a little thing. I was like, really? Like something's derpy? I say that.
Yeah, cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
See? The lasting impact of a truly wonderful movie.
That is the legacy of this movie. It came up with the term derp.
My feelings about BASEketball can be summed up basically in, fuck you, I like it.
That's how I feel. I'm watching it again. I'm still kind of middle of the road on it. I don't think it's not an exceptional movie. It's a good way to kill an hour and a half.
It's fun and you will laugh at least once unless you've got to stick up your ass. And if you've made it this far into us talking about this movie and you're not sure, give it a shot.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think it's funny. Again, not every joke lands. No, it's not perfect. But
I definitely recommend it.
It's a piece of my early teenhood.
Yes. And any of my love for this movie is going to come from the fact that Trey Parker and Matt Stone, as I had mentioned, work very well together. Yeah. The cast looks like they're having a blast doing this movie.
Sure.
You could tell that they thought that they were doing something just fun.
Yeah. Is it objectively a good movie? No.
The plot's kind of weak.
But
the movie moves along at a pretty brisk pace because it's got to get the setup out of the way so that most of the movie can take place playing the game of BASEketball.
Yeah.
There is kind of, little side plots here and there, one of which is important to the plot of the film. Another one, not so much.
But every time I hear Scatman, I think of this movie.
This soundtrack,
I just think of Matt Stone going super Hollywood. That's what I think of. A lot of good Real Big Fish songs, though.
I had mentioned earlier, yes, there's a lot of ska bands on this soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember I had a friend when this movie was fairly new. He had the soundtrack in his car. It was one that was in he had like one of those CD players in the trunk of his car.
Yeah, I did
that
too.
You could put like six discs.
I had it. That's what my mom got me for graduating high school.
Yeah.
Was the 6 disc.
The soundtrack to this movie was one of them, and he listened to it all the time. Again, I give it a B-. It's fun. It's worth seeing.
It is.
I don't know if it's streaming on anything that you can watch with a subscription.
I don't know because we
have to pay for it.
We own it, so
yeah, we own the DVDs, so that's how we watch it. But it's fun enough, and if you're somebody who, if you're too young to have seen this movie back in its heyday, and you like Trey Parker and Matt Stone,
I would really be curious to find out how people feel who didn't grow up with it, who are, maybe in their 20s or 30s. Let's see. Currently, you are able to watch BASEketball streaming on Star's Apple TV channel. Oh, it's on Tubi.
Oh, there you go. You can watch it with a shitload of commercials.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't even know what either of those are really.
Tubi is a streaming service.
Well, I gathered that. And yeah, you can buy it on Amazon and stuff like that. Amazon Video, like Prime Video.
To be honest, you could probably go get the DVD somewhere for $2.
Go to Movie Trading Company. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we can call that an episode.
Yeah.
Jess, where can people find you?
I'm at JHL Moon on Instagram. You can check out my publishing house, shadowsparkpub.com. We also have a podcast, the Shadow Spark Podcast. It is at Shadow Spark Pod on Twitter. Yeah, we have a big Black Friday sale coming up soon, so nice. All of our paperbacks will be up to 60% off.
Oh yeah,
and that does include mine, but it's the entire house. So I think it's like 70 something bucks. We're all going to be on super big sale for paperbacks, and then we'll do an ebook sale New Year's. So, yeah, that's me.
Well, if you want to validate my existence, you can head on over to Instagram. You can find me at Chad J Moon. You can check out the podcast Instagram at Pretty Little Podcast. We have the YouTube channel.
We do.
YouTube.com/@the Pretty Little Podcast 69420.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Oh. All right. Well, let's end it then. The episode.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Mwah.